UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation.
Hey everybody, I'm live, and it's time for Office Hours Ask Me Anything. It's Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and I hope everybody is safe and healthy, and that those you care about are also doing well wherever you are. As always, every Tuesday at 6:15 p.m. Italy time, check your time zones, I take questions live, and you are welcome to ask any question at all. Seriously, I've never turned down a question. I don't always know the answer, but I've never turned down a question. So you are welcome to ask questions about UX, CX, careers, what the heck is going on, and how are we in Italy. I'm going to pull up the usual chat rooms, and hopefully the broadcast is working for everybody out there. So it looks like LinkedIn is on, and I will just get the YouTube room cracking. As always, I suggest that people join us on YouTube rather than LinkedIn. I think it's a higher quality stream, and I believe there's less of a delay. So we're a little bit close to synchronous. Welcome to the people watching in both. And so, as always, I will be taking questions. And let me just put up the anonymous URL on the screen today. If you would like to ask a question anonymously, you can use this URL, which is deltacx.link, which is my URL shortener, /AMA, like Ask Me Anything. And you'll be sent to a one question survey. I do not capture any information about you. You're not put on a mailing list. And that question will come to me anonymously. So if you want to talk about a difficult situation at work or something like that, we don't have to know who you are or where you are to answer your question. So any questions that are received during our time together, I will answer. Anything I get after I end the stream, I will answer next week. And as always, these are archived on our YouTube channel. And you can find our YouTube channel at deltacx.tv. That will redirect you to the YouTube channel. You're welcome to subscribe there. It is not monetized. There are no ads, at least not that I control. I certainly don't get any money for it, and there are no sponsors, and I'm not looking for any. So it should be a good ad-free experience. So I'm just going to hang around a little bit and see if anybody has any questions. I know that LinkedIn and streams that there's been a very decreased use of these things right now. That people just don't have a lot of time to deal with them right now, especially those with young kids at home. So I know that in some cases I will be streaming to nobody, and that's totally fine because, as always, my goal is to have a library of content on YouTube available for free 24/7 so that when the information is relevant to you or you've got that new job, I've got a pile of fresh information available to you at no cost. So I will hang around a little bit and see if anybody joins. I know there are a couple of other live streams going on right now, so it's probably hard to choose who you're going to watch. Pick me. But you can't hear me say that if you're not watching. So, wah wah. Let's see, what else can I tell you about? Well, while we're waiting to see if anybody joins and has any questions, I'll just remind people of some of our upcoming live podcasts, which again are also always archived in the YouTube channel. But if you want to join live, you are welcome to share questions and comments as we go live. We do check them. Tomorrow is a live podcast with me. My topic will be the UX tipping point of Pal Mickey. Pal Mickey is an incredible invention from the Disney company that was released publicly in 2003 and started to be discontinued in 2008. So, not a lot of people heard of him, but he's really important to know about and for a number of reasons. So, I'm going to be going into super depth tomorrow on the story of Pal Mickey. Also, coming up next week, we do already have some stuff scheduled. Of course, there will always be live office hours in case any of you have a question. But we're going to have a live podcast Monday, April 13th, with a frequent guest, the totally lovable Michelle Ronson from Curiosity Tank. Is it Curiosity Tank? I always get that wrong. Curiosity Tank. One time I said Curiosity Stream, and it turned out that's like a National Geographic channel. No, she's from Curiosity Tank, and she's going to be talking about UX research, resumes, portfolios, and interviewing, which I know is a hot topic for many people now. So, whether you catch that live or you catch it later, it is going to be a good one. She always has really great actionable information, and I also suggest signing up for her mailing list and staying in touch with her if you are into the UX research thing. After that, of course, April 14th will be office hours again if there's any questions. Um, the 15th, Wednesday the 15th, which is not necessarily tax day in America now that everything's been delayed, going to be talking a little bit about UX and Agile and how they can work together, how they don't work well together, why there's so much negativity and disaster around trying to get UX and Agile to go well together, and things like that. So I've got mountains of slides on that one. I'll be speaking about it and sharing slides and happy to take questions live. So if you want to, you can always send a question ahead of time. Use the anonymous URL and I will answer it during that podcast. So thanks to the people who are watching. I know this isn't my most exciting, but we've got 4 people watching live. So tell me, guys, how you are. I don't know who's watching live, but tell me how you're doing. I'm just waiting for a question because this is office hours and nobody's asked me anything. So there you go. And then we do have more podcasts scheduled throughout April. But I would say, definitely watch for the next week or so. There's lots of good stuff coming to this channel, the YouTube Delta CX channel, and of course, LinkedIn as well. But I still think you should all move over to YouTube. Hi, 3 people watching on YouTube. It's just a better way to go. So this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I'm happy to take any questions. And really, if you just, I know that right now people are stressed and have a lot on their minds. And I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a trained therapist. But if there's something you want to talk about or get off your chest, you are absolutely welcome to as well. If you just want to talk about something or bring up a topic, you certainly can. This is not really a two-way conversation because I typically just stream alone during office hours and people type in the chat room and I respond to that. But if you do have something you would like to bring up or talk about or get off your chest, I welcome that as well in these strange, strange times. Hello to the people watching live. I hope you guys are doing well, feeling well. Thanks for joining. This is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. And right now, I'm just waiting for a question. I don't have any questions today. Hearts to you guys, too. Hello. Thanks for the people joining and giving me some hearts. We've got Vishal, and who else is here? John. So thanks to the people who are joining live. I don't have too much to say. On Tuesdays, I do Office Hours Ask Me Anything. If nobody asks a question, I've got nothing to say. So I will usually stay here at least 15 minutes, even if I am killing time waiting for a question. If no questions emerge, I won't put this in the archive because it's not worth watching later. But if you have any questions at all about CX, UX, life, anything else, I'm happy to try to take those questions. Or again, right now, if you just want to get something off your chest and express yourself, I welcome that as well. So please use the LinkedIn chat and the YouTube chat. I am monitoring both, which is why you see my eyes darting around. We do not have any questions today. Oh, wait, we have a question. Hey, thanks to someone who asked a question. Sorry, it looks like it came in 2 or 3 minutes ago, and I'm just noticing it now. Someone asks, what is the minimal research activities that must be done for a new project and for an old one, like an existing website or app? That's a lovely question. Thank you. Here's my opinion on that. Unfortunately, at some companies, the minimal research activities would be no research activities. Now, that doesn't mean that I recommend that. That is just something that sometimes unfortunately happens when companies don't really understand or value UX or CX. You get no time, you get no budget, no headcount, no resources, and you are doing no research because why do we need research? We know our customers. But obviously, if you are not at that lowest level of UX maturity and you do get some time and budget and you or UN people, what's the minimum research I recommend? I've there's kind of the dream research and then there's kind of the reality of what you'll probably do. The dream research is typically observational studies because we learn so much from watching people, whether we're watching them using your existing product or service or we're watching them using a competitor. We learn so much by just seeing people do stuff and seeing if they've created workarounds, which very often they don't tell you about in interviews because their workaround just feels second nature to them. We see where they're meeting the four horsemen of bad UX, registered trademark, mine, frustration, confusion, disappointment, and distraction. Sorry, I refreshed the page and I see we have some questions in LinkedIn. I will handle those right after this one. Thank you so much. Sorry, this is why I direct everybody to YouTube. LinkedIn just gets so funny with these questions, and I know you guys are like 2 minutes behind what I'm saying. So, again, the dream is to observe people and do a follow up interview with them, as is often the case. But I know in many companies, not every company values that type of research and gives people the time to go out and make those site visits or field studies. Sometimes you bring people into a listening lab and you observe them there. Obviously, that's not in their natural environment, it's in your environment, but it can still be great and meaningful. And if you've got that lab set up with a two-way mirror, you can get cross functional teammates. You can get stakeholders in to watch people's real problems, real needs, and real struggles so they can stop making up stuff. But what I find is the reality in most cases is that very often a company, again, lower on the UX maturity spectrum, will budget for interviews. So I might be doing phone interviews or video call interviews with 10, 20, 30 or more current customers, potential customers, archetypal customers, agents, donors, customer support people, all kinds of different people based on who I'm allowed to speak to. And typically I am working from those types of interviews, which are not in person, but I know that I've gotten into a good enough vibe and zone where I can still get a lot of fantastic information out of those, and it can really help drive my project in the right direction. So I would say to me, the minimum research I like to do are some interviews via phone or video call, depending upon how comfortable the other person is being seen. Um, this phone is fine. A video call can be fine, and that's kind of the least I always hope to do on a project, and dream of doing a lot more. So thank you for that question, and I hope that answers it. And let me know if you have. Someone says, "Please don't hate me for my question." I assume this is the same person. I'm a beginner, but I can't help think that some UX activities are unnecessary or overrated. And that's a great question too. Are there UX activities that are unnecessary or overrated? I will say that it's hard to say that there's a UX activity that's unnecessary. To me, when I think overrated, I tend to think design thinking and design sprints. You know, they're hailed as the golden god, and really, I think they're mostly garbage. But when it comes to real UX activities, because I don't put design thinking and design sprints into real UX activities, there are some that I don't think they're unnecessary and I don't think they're overrated, but I will often skip them, especially where the budget is tight and the timing is tight. For example, I often do personas, especially if I'm doing those interviews, but I'll rarely write scenarios. But I have done scenarios where it was really important to the project and the personas needed a little bit more color. So are scenarios unnecessary and overrated? They're not, but they're just not a fit for a lot of the types of projects that I get. So I don't think of it more as unnecessary or overrated. I would suggest that you reframe, especially if you're a beginner. Think of it not as that's unnecessary or that's overrated. You know, that can make you sound a little bit arrogant, and I'm sure you're not because you're saying you're a beginner. So I think you've got humility. But what I would say is we must be strategic about the UX process and user centered design, and we're just going to have to pick and choose for our project what we're going to do. And that not every possible task and deliverable in the spectrum of user centered design is going to be important to every project. And that's the way that I look at it. I look at it that I'm going to strategically select the right things to do for the project, not that anything is unnecessary or overrated, because I don't believe that, but that I want to be strategic about it and pick the right things for this project. I hope that helps. Please send me some more questions if you have follow-ups. Now I'm going to check back in the rooms and answer our questions. Holly says, what are your thoughts on UX certifications? Do they have value? Which ones do you recommend? Holly, love the question, and thank you for your patience in having me answer it. I tend to do long answers, so thank you for your patience. Um, my thought in general is that a UX certification is only valuable if your employer or potential employer finds it valuable. Because let's face it, if I think it's valuable, but your employer doesn't care, then I'm an idiot. And if I think it's not valuable, but your employer gave you a raise or gave you a promotion or something amazing happened because the employer saw you be certified or trained in something and that mattered. So, I think it comes down to which certifications do employers tend to care about. And right now in UX, there are very few. Outside of UX, there are many. Outside of UX, people are always saying, I'm a certified Scrum Master. That's meaningful. That can get you a job. I'm a certified Agile coach. I'm a certified, what else do I see a lot? People get certified in different flavors of Agile, Safe Agile, which I hate, but you can get a certification and that can get you a job or help your job. But when I look at a lot of the certificates around UX, I would say right now many of them aren't that impressive. Um, so let's talk about a few of them. Certificate in design thinking. You know, I'm not a fan of design thinking. And what does that certificate even mean? Did anybody check your ability to empathize? Did anybody check if your ideation was any good or if your ideas tend to suck? Did anyone check if your prototype was realistic and great? Did anyone check if your testing had fantastic planning, execution, and interpretation? And there's another thing in there somewhere. So I think people think design thinking certification is meaningful, but because it's so easy to get and everyone's getting it, I think that makes it meaningless. Design sprint facilitator, I see a lot of people getting. Um, if your job is excited about that and you like design sprints, then that can be good for you. I don't like design sprints. I feel like they take UX work away from UX specialists. And I think we should be doing ideation workshops instead of making people sketch. So that's just me. But ultimately, it's what does my employer care about? And one way that you can find out is poke around some job descriptions for types of jobs that you might be interested in. Notice if they ask for any certifications. I find in general they don't. Whereas if you looked at a job for a Scrum Master, they're probably going to want you to be a certified Scrum Master. They may or may not want you to have something from the Product Management Institute or Project Management. So I feel like outside of UX, there are meaningful certifications that are recognized. And inside of UX, right now, there are certificate factories, but I'm not sure that they are valuable. Let me list one more and talk about it quickly. Nielsen Norman Group. Now, there's few people I respect on the planet more than Nielsen Norman and their group. However, their certificate is extremely expensive. And I don't know if it would necessarily change anything at your job because depending upon what training you go for, it's 1 to 7 days of training. Now, I sent my boyfriend for it and he had a great time because he's transitioning into UX. So, um, we both kind of a year or so ago, we both did. I guess it was about a year ago now that he went. Was it a year ago, honey, or 2 years ago that you went to Nielsen Norman? 1 year ago. Yeah, sent him to the London one. Oh, he loved it. And I was so excited to see that he was going to be taught interaction design by Tog. But can that get him a job? Can he show that he's a Nielsen Norman Group certified UX, whatever you are, honey? And, is that going to get him a job? Well, he doesn't really have a portfolio yet, so probably not. So, and some people I know are going for Nielsen Norman Group like UX manager certificate. It's not that I think these are bad. I know that these are wonderful experiences to get the training and have the certificate, but I'm not sure it changes anybody's jobs or getting a job necessarily. I've never been turned down for a job and had someone say to me, sorry, you didn't have the right certificates. I don't even have a degree that's relevant to the industry. I have a bachelor's in music. So you'd think maybe I'm piling up certificates to account for that, but I'm not. So I think where it can make or break a job, make or break a promotion, make or break a raise, it's worth it. If it's not doing that, you can always do it for your own fun, for your own education, but I think you have to go into it with the expectation of this is me doing this for me, and it may or may not help my career directly. It may not get me a job. It may teach me things I didn't know. It may give me more confidence, so that's worth it. But I don't think that employers necessarily see a huge amount of value in many of these certificates. That might change in a year or so. Don Norman says he's going to reinvent UX education, and I look forward to that. So, Holly, thank you so much. I know that we're about 2 minutes delayed, but if you would like to ask a follow up question or commentary to that, please do. I am here and listening. And let's see, we are. Let's see. Okay, just checking my email, and I do have a follow up from that person, but John has been waiting very nicely. Thank you, John. Communication specialist and QA analyst, and something I can't see because LinkedIn cut it off. How do you recommend integrating user experience research into a development process for an organization which has not based decisions on UX research in the past? Super question, John, and I would suggest tuning in next week for my podcast on UX and Agile, since that'll be basically I'm going to be talking about how to work anything UX wants to do into any development process. So what I find, I'll give you the short version now because next week I'm going to probably take 30 to 60 minutes to explain this. But the short version, well, first of all, is the organization open to it? Because I find very often there's hostility against UX. There's a misunderstanding that we just sketch screens and we don't need research. We know our customers, or engineers are out there asking the customer what they want and then building that. There might be a lot of bad habits to undo. And so I'm not sure if you are seeing that kind of stuff already and you have to undo those bad habits. But ultimately, the way to get UX involved in the process is we need to be on that development team, whether you're agile or scrum or something else. One of the biggest problems, and why a lot of this is just a non-starter, is people complain that UX is siloed and then silo us. Safe Agile whines about UX being siloed and then says we're not on the agile team, to which I have a number of middle fingers for them. So I suggest, and I know other agile coaches that suggest, and scrum masters. Not everybody agrees on this, but UX, one representative from UX has to join that software development team. And we hope that they're embedded, but sometimes they're shared across projects. And ultimately, what I tried to tell people about research, and again, these are short versions of things because I have entire books on this. So, John, I'm going to recommend my other book to you today. So, I've got 2 books that I wrote last year. This is Delta CX, and this book is really for everybody, but it's really long, as in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire long, but it sure has a lot of stuff. And I reused some of the things that were in my previous book, which I jokingly called DevOps ICU, as in your developer operations are in the ICU. This is a much shorter read. Both of these are available on Amazon for Kindle and paperback. If it says out of print, check the other search result, because Amazon put one version out of print and won't remove the search result. This one was written for non-UX roles. So this explains to non-UX roles what is UX? Why is it a specialty? Why can't anybody do it? What are we doing? Why do we need so much time? How can it fit into Agile, and how can it be lean? And how do we collaborate? Now, I wrote this book over a year ago, and since then I've come up with a lot more content that I found really connects with people a little better. So I've kind of added to this, but I haven't redone the book. So just know that I also have a 4-hour workshop, as well as a longer workshop that I do live at companies. I would say just go to, if you go to the deltacx.com website, go to training and go to Dev and UX. That's the new name of DevOps ICU, because too many people didn't get the joke and thought I was going to talk about DevOps. that course is going to help you, and I've got a sale on my courses right now, and in fact I'll put that into the chat room here. You can use the code April 2020 for 50% off all of my courses. Oh, sorry, the camera went blurry. That should say 50% off. And my courses live at, and I'll write that here, and then I'll go and write it in YouTube. So for the entire month of April, I'm giving 50% off all of my paid courses on my P-Type Academy website and my Dev and UX 4-hour interactive workshop video course. So it's self-paced. You can watch it as much as you want. It's normally $99, but this month it's half off. So, that is about as close to free as I can make it. And hey, Plexus is here. Let me put that here too. So that's HTTP P-Type Academy and April 2020 for 50% off all the paid courses. I also have Axure courses and some other ones. Um, so John, chances are we should probably just talk privately so I can learn more about what you guys are coming up against and see if I can give more specific advice or if there's any of my training that might be relevant. Because I have hours and hours of content on the answer for what you're talking about, but I kind of need to know some more information to give you the best advice. I don't have blanket advice here. I tend to. Fine tune the advice based on the stories that I hear and the maturity level, and if there's hostility, and who's working in UX at your company, or is this a business analyst that's going to do UX research? So I have so many questions for you. I would say let's catch up outside of the podcast so I can learn more, though you're always welcome to ask questions and follow up questions here. I would say just connect with me and send me a message, and let me see how I can help you out on this. We did get a follow up question in the email, but we also have Plexus who's over in the YouTube room, and he says, for everything you do that you think will improve your chances getting a job, there will be someone on the hiring side that will be critical of it. I assume that this might be certificates, and I do know that some employers can be critical of certificates. And he says, I have a fetish for books, especially hardcover. I have your book in soft. The hardcover is hard to resist, must resist. I am charging 75 American dollars for the hardcover, but hold on, Plexus. Uh, it is color printed. It is not just a hardcover. It is color printed. So you have the black and white print. Let me turn to a great colorful page like the one about color blindness. I understand that color blindness page only goes so far in black and white, but where is my color blindness page? Boo, I can't find it. But here's the cognitive empathy one. So, yes. So, this is hardcover and color printed. I've got a box of them over there. You can only get them from me, and I do sign them to people. So, if you would like to buy a hardcover from me, it is 75 American dollars. He says I'm killing him. Ha 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 ha. So, there you go. I call it the library edition. So there you go. Many options for my books. But the hardcover only comes from me. Thanks, John. I hope we will chat because it sounds like you've got some specific questions and I would love to give you specific answers. Now, we did get a follow-up question over in the anonymous question universe, and it says follow-up. How to strategically choose the techniques if I'm a beginner? Super question, and I got to tell you, in general, I don't expect beginners to have that level of strategy. And that's part of the reason why I don't like when a company only hires juniors and newbies and they don't want to pay for seniors and higher. Because we need that balance. We need both people there. The juniors bring something to the seniors bring something to the juniors. No, I don't see juniors as assistants to seniors. You guys know I don't like Jared Spool, and he wrote that article saying juniors should do production work to take grunt work off seniors' plates. F that guy, don't agree. Juniors should do real UX work so they can level up and put stuff in their portfolios. So, for the beginner, I would say just know that you're probably not going to have a good sense of strategy, that right now you're probably more focused on the tactical. What are good research questions? How do I do research? How do I interpret research? And I'm really okay if a beginner is at that level. If a beginner can't strategize a UX project, that's totally fine. I don't expect you to be able to. And it's the kind of thing where I can't just tell you. It's the kind of thing that you're just going to have to see from experience. That here's this project, here's the amount of time we got, here's the budget we got, here's what the company's problems and questions are, here's what I know about their customers and whatever. Okay, I think we should do this, this, and this. That comes from experience, and that's why you want to be around that experience. So that's why I like to see more balances of hiring at companies. I'm against ageism. I don't know why people are against hiring veterans and experienced people for that balance. So I would say beginner people, don't feel badly if you're not sure how to approach a project strategically. It's the kind of thing that I'm sure someone out there will write a book and say, ooh, 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 here's what you do. But really, it's once you get it, and it's just going to take time. I would say some mid-level people are good at it, and usually senior or higher, because in UX, a senior is typically 6 years of experience or more. Well, that person has probably seen a lot and they've had a lot of different projects, especially if they've changed jobs, and they have a more strategic approach to UX. Shipping is free, Plexus. Shipping is included because shipping costs me, the book costs me 20 something dollars. The shipping costs me 20 something dollars, and the rest I put in my pocket. So it's $75 flat, and I eat the shipping out of that for the hardcover book. Sorry, he's writing in the YouTube chat. He loves the books, and friend of the show. So that would be my thoughts to beginners is it's okay to be where you are and it's okay to focus on just getting the tactics and the deliverables right and kind of learning the strategy and getting the feel for it as you go. Same for a lot of soft skills as people call them or business skills as I like to call them. You know, your first few presentations aren't going to be amazing, but then you're going to learn from them and you're going to see seniors do presentations and you're going to learn from them and you're going to be able to evolve your craft and approach. And it's not because you read a book on how to do presentations. I think these are just things that where you have to be around good and talented senior people who are able to help you. Quick reminder, this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I am taking questions both live in our chat rooms as well as anonymously through the link on your screen, or if you're not looking at the screen, it's deltacx.link/AMA, like Ask Me Anything. And that'll give you a one question survey that collects no information about you and goes to my email. So, please feel free to keep asking questions. I usually stick around. We're in it a half hour. I stick around up to an hour because this is your time. I only do this once a week. If you miss me today, you've got to wait for next Tuesday. So, like I said, feel free to ask me any question. I've never turned down a question. That doesn't mean I challenge you to ask me something inappropriate, but just means all questions are welcome and I always do my best to answer them. And ones that I can't answer, I usually turn into a podcast. I find a guest who knows their stuff and we answer that question in a longer format. Stay hydrated, people. I keep a now keeping a gallon of water at my desk to remind me to keep drinking. That didn't used to be a problem when I lived in the Arizona desert. Man, if you didn't drink, you got lightheaded and you got sad. So, I'm still here. If you guys have any questions, follow ups, comments, you can write a follow up question to someone else's question if you'd like. So, all of these are absolutely welcome. I thank the handful of people who are watching us live today. We've got 4 in YouTube and 3 on LinkedIn. That's not so bad. I'm happy to see you guys. Um, Usually, if I don't have a question, I kill some time telling stories until you guys have a question for me. I don't have a lot of stories to tell. Hey, it's Oz. I love seeing Oz here. How are you, Oz? Strategy. So Oz is here. Oz did a podcast with us recently. Go check that out. Go to deltacx.tv, which is our YouTube channel. Look at the playlist of live podcasts, and you will see our customer Oz. Oz says strategy, even in my Excel world, requires time and seeing a lot of stuff. The time I made $350 in 45 minutes. That was only possible because I had 10 years of experience and a sense of where to look. Yeah, there's amazing point, Oz. And you always see that meme that goes around where it's like, the plumber. It takes an excellent plumber or expert plumber, 10 minutes to fix something, and they charge a lot of money. And someone's like, "Oh, that only took you 10 minutes. Why should I pay so much?" And it's like, "Yeah, but you just paid for all of my experience and knowledge that allowed that to take 10 minutes versus hiring the person who doesn't know these things and might have worked on it for 6 hours." So, very true there that a lot of the strategic stuff and knowing how to approach a problem, and as Oz is pointing out, knowing how to find a problem. Very often, what we are doing strategically is finding the problem. And you'll hear Don Norman say that, and Larry Marine, who was a student of Don Norman. These are great people to follow and listen to. These are the people I listen to, will remind you that your number one job as a designer is to figure out what the real problem is. Because very often, a company, a job, even a freelance project might come to you and say, we think our website could get more customers. Can you fix our pages? That's the outside layer of the onion. And it definitely takes experience for someone to know, how do I dig away at this a little bit more? And how do I figure out what the real problem is so that I can fix that? Because sure, I can put a band-aid on this website and I could make a better page, but did I really fix the problem? And did I create new problem? And were there other problems that we didn't fix? Like sometimes companies will come to me and say, "We want you to fix our pages so that we can sell more." And then I find out that their product isn't good. I can fix your pages and I can make your pages great and I can make them more compelling and more likely to sell, which I'll put in air quotes because I can't sell a piece of garbage. If your product is outdated, hard to use, hard to learn, lacking features, buggy, stuff like that, or poorly priced, um, all of the great web pages in the world, all of the great marketing in the world, all of the great SEO, all of the great influencers wearing their sunglasses pointing at your thing, that's not gonna. It's still not gonna work, and that's putting a band-aid on stuff. And so sometimes I get turned down for jobs because I say, "Look, I'm not gonna put a band-aid on this because I know it's not going to fix the real problem. I want to do this job for you. I'll fix your web pages, but we also really should be looking at improving your product." And very often they'll say, "No, no, no, we don't want to work with you. We just want someone to work on our web pages." I've been around long enough, as the other experts will tell you, when you've been around this long doing this type of work for this long, you know when you're going to have a bad client who's going to make up a reason to resent you. And I will walk away from those projects. But of course, it took me years to get there. When you're a beginner, you say yes to everything and you want to make people happy. But ultimately, that's not. UX doesn't always make everybody happy. We are sometimes the bearer of bad news and the bearer of we have to change, and not everybody wants to change. We've got a new question from Rohit. Hello. He says, I think that's he. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Hi, Debbie. Few interview tips for mid level UX designer. Rohit, do you mean you interviewing for a job or do you mean you running UX interviews? I'm not too sure what you mean. Please give me a little follow up question there and let me know if you meant interview tips for yourself or interviewing other people. I will start giving tips. Oh, John says, I agree. It's even harder if your product is membership on your website and can only improve certain aspects of the design. Yeah, of course. And every project is going to be different, but I always feel like we can't just look at the outside layer of the onion. There's so much more we need to look at, and that's part of UX. So, in case repeat means interviewing for jobs, I'll start answering it that way, but please give me a follow up question or comment and let me know if I'm going in the right direction with this. So, when it comes to interviewing, one main thing that I suggest is be yourself. And that sounds so stupid. And what does that even mean? But I did some practice interviewing with someone who's preparing to do a big interview for Amazon, and when I spoke to him before we did our practice interview, he was smiley and he was fun and he was smart and he was interesting and he had this lovely sounding voice. And then when I asked him a sample question, he started reading something that he had prepared because he thought I might ask him something like that. He had prepared answers and his face just went dead. And he started giving me this rehearsed thing, and I was like, no, no, no. Just throw away your script. Memorize a couple of points from your script if you want, but throw that away. So I just tell people, answer the question as best as you can, be yourself, and practice. You can practice in a mirror, you can practice with a mentor, you can practice with a coach. There's people you can practice with. um, but just if you're mid-level, you know where you are. You know you're not a beginner, you know you're not an expert, but you're going to know some stuff. And they always ask the same questions. Time after time, I get the same questions. I get, tell me about a project you were most proud of. I get, tell me what your process is. I get, oh gosh, what do I always get? Sometimes I get, yes, UX designer interview. Tell me about a time when you had a conflict with someone or a project wasn't going well. How did you turn it around? Maybe you have an example of that and maybe you don't. But I think it's important to not memorize answers, but be prepared. What is your proudest moment? What is the job that you're most proud of? What job was the most successful for you or the customer or somebody? Be ready to tell that story, and tell that story from a lot of angles. What was it like from your perspective? How did you work with your coworkers? What did it mean for the customer? Did the company end up making more money or solving a problem because of it? I'd be ready with answers to that one, and I would be ready with answers to what is your process. And I always tell people about the user centered design process because I'm not thinking double diamond and I'm not thinking design thinking because design thinking is evidently just thinking. So it's not my process. So that's what I tell people about, and I tell them in a dreamy dream world, I like to go through the full user-centered design process, but of course we have to be strategic and pick and choose to match timeframes, budgets, and project. So I think that an important tip for UX interviews is to remember that whoever you're talking to probably wants to hear you balancing the customer's needs and the business. Um, that I've learned to make sure that I say, because it's true, that I'm not just, yes, I'm designing for customers and I'm researching with customers and I want to build the best thing for customers, but it's important to also understand the company's strategic goals, and hopefully those are reasonable goals, and that we will be able to use a good UX process to meet or exceed those goals. So I think people like to hear that we deeply care about the customer and we're advocating for them as well, but that we understand that we have to balance that with aspects of the business. Other tips for mid level interviewing. I guess sometimes they might ask why you left your last job. I don't know if that happens where you live. I don't get that much in America. They used to ask that a lot, and now they don't really ask it anymore, because they realize nobody could tell the truth. Nobody's going to be like, "Wow, everybody there was a jerk." But they used to ask that, and I don't think they do anymore. Um, I don't know. You guys listening in, can you think of any typical interview questions someone might ask a mid-level UX designer? Um, I mean, the rest they would get possibly from your resume or CV, like what tools you use or something like that. I'm not sure, but those are some thoughts that I have. But a great resource for this would be Lee from Akathame. It's a little hard to spell, but I'll spell it for you so that you can Google her. Akatham, like Mary, E. And she's at akathame.com. She tweets. She has a YouTube channel now. And one thing that we did last week, which was really fun, was we did a live stream, which should be on her YouTube channel. And we did what a bad UX interview looks like and what a good UX interview looks like. And for the bad UX interview, Lee herself pretended to be the bad interviewee. And for the good interview, she had me come in, and I didn't know the guy I was going to meet, and I didn't know the questions he was going to ask, but he did ask the typical questions. So I will look like I was rehearsed, or I will look like I knew what was coming, but really I guessed what was coming. So that's a fun one to watch. Lee also has a lot of stuff around storytelling for your job, storytelling for your portfolio and resume. So I think Lee is a great resource. Lee from Akathame. Check her out. This is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I am still here, and I'll be here up to another 15 minutes if there are questions. I see no questions in the anonymous universe. What is that? Oh, yeah. I am seeing an email coming in because I emailed a company and told them that their job ad was discriminatory. I posted it to LinkedIn. For those of you who follow me, you may have seen it a few days ago where it was clearly discriminatory to the disabled. And they just wrote me back and said, "Thanks for pointing out the wording in the posting. It was a mistake. It has been removed." So go us. Hopefully that is, well, at least she agreed. At least she didn't try to say, "What? That's fine. What are you talking about?" The last time I wrote to a company about a discriminatory job ad, it was, they had this job ad. I think it was Verizon or it was Virgin Mobile. I can't remember. If you guys follow me, you'll remember it because I posted it. And it was like, "We've got a young, fast-paced company," and every other word was young or hinted at young, but they actually did use the word young. And I was like, and that's ageism. Holly says, "How about a time you had to deal with ambiguity as an interview question?" That's possible. I think that's a good one, and I think that's a cousin of tell me about when something went wrong. Tell me about when a project started or went a little funky and how you handled that. So I think Holly's got a good variation of that, which is when did you have to deal with ambiguity? Which is maybe the requirements not being clear or scope of the project not being clear, something that wasn't clear or agreed upon. So great answer from Holly. She can now tell that we're like 2 minutes delayed on LinkedIn. Nothing I can do about that. Rohit, you're welcome. Good luck with your job interview. We are all pulling for you, and I hope you'll keep us posted on how you do. He says he will check the YouTube content and follow her. I recommend it. You can follow her here on LinkedIn. You can also find her again on YouTube and Twitter and her website. So there you go. And let's see what else. How's everybody doing? Do you want to talk about it? How are you guys doing this week? I'm okay. How are you guys doing? I tend to be a homebody, so someone asking me to stay home, it's okay. I'm going to be okay. But how are you guys doing? And again, I'm here for another 10 or so minutes. I will keep drinking my water, and then I will need to stop. So, any questions? Happy to take them. Olivia, do you have a bug? Do you have a bug on your arm? Sorry, Olivia's the dog, and she's looking at her own arm funny. It makes me think she might have a bug or something. Oh, you're going to look? Oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah. Olivia, do you want to say hi to everybody? No. All right. Then you guys won't know. Any questions? This is office hours. Ask me anything. I stay up to an hour and we are at 48 minutes. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to take them. You can ask them anonymously at deltacx.link/AMA. And I do recommend subscribing on YouTube, and this will redirect you to our YouTube channel, deltacx.tv. I don't have ads there. So you don't have to worry that you're going to be bombarded with people vocal frying about Grammarly. Sarah says, "Hey Debbie, do you recommend the Delta CX book for beginners?" Good question. I think I could, and here's why. The Delta CX book was written to burn down a lot of things that I think are going wrong in UX. If you're a UX beginner and you're at that first job, and it looks like you are at perhaps your first job, you're probably starting to see some garbage. You might have had some conflicts with people. You might have felt like, how do I explain UX to people? Or how do we fit into Agile? So I wrote the book to burn down a lot of things that I saw going wrong and to try to give people answers and ammunition for when they get into these fights or discussions at their job. One person complained in an Amazon rating that my book was repetitive, and I think they didn't totally get that I was trying to come at a topic from a lot of angles based on all of the crappy arguments that I've heard and give you a way to respond to those arguments. So I didn't mean for it to be repetitive. I just wanted to really give you a lot of ammunition to a lot of different junk that we all deal with at jobs. So, do I think a beginner could read it and get it? I do. I think there are some things you'll read and be like, oh, that hasn't happened to me yet. And that's okay because maybe you'll read it and you'll remember what I said, or you'll come up with your own better variation of it. And then if it does happen to you at your job, you'll be like, oh, that's what she was talking about. All right, let me go home and reread that. Or, hey, I think I remember what I'm supposed to say to that. So, and again, there are some things that you won't even agree with. So you won't use those pieces. But I feel like if it gives you any ammunition to deal with some negative things at work or negative people at work or confusion or struggles or process problems, then it's given you a lot, especially for what you paid. It is a very long book, and I don't recommend jumping around, but and it doesn't have an index. I'm sorry. The same people complained on I didn't make an index. Version 2 someday, people. But yeah, you're right. I think it can be for beginners. I tried to write it for everybody, even for people outside of UX who are wondering what's the best way for a UX department and team to work within itself and with other departments and teammates as allies, partners, and collaborators. And I set fire to things that I think are garbage, which you might love or you might think are garbage, or you're on the fence, you're a beginner, you're not sure, is this good or not? So yeah, I would say give it a shot. My book is under $12 on Kindle, under $23 for the paperback. The hardcover, as you've heard, is a bit expensive since it is only in my house and will be shipped by me from Italy. Now, I know it's probably a little scary to get a package from Italy right now, but please remember that. First of all, I'm fine. And second of all, you can always wipe it down with a little Lysol. And, it doesn't stay on paper very long, but this is a coated thing. So, you might want to let it sit out a little bit just, in case the postage people handled it funny. But we are safe here so far. I know people are like, what? A package from Italy? I'm scared. But again, you can always let it sit around for a while or Lysol the heck out of it. Just don't Lysol the pages. They may not dry very well. Sarah, I hope that helps. Thank you for asking. That's a great question, and I appreciate it. And hope you'll read it and tell me what you think or ask me follow up questions. Let's see, what else do we have cooking here? Let's see, set that up to run. We are at 52 minutes. I'm happy to stick around a few more minutes and take any questions that you guys have at all. Thanks again to the people who've been watching on LinkedIn and on YouTube. It's been a good crowd. We used to get 15 to 20 something people joining each stream, but now I'm seeing with people just being stressed out and many having to homeschool and deal with a lot of stuff of that, I'm seeing more like 5 people coming. And I still hope that I can be helpful to you, so I'm continuing to do these. I saw some too cool for school guy on LinkedIn say, oh, not enough people are coming to my live streams. I'm going to stop doing them. But then I archive these and you can watch them later. So hopefully we're helping people and answering their questions later. Um, so, any other questions? How you doing? How's my lighting? Am I a little too dark? Do I need more lighting? I've been playing with my lighting today. This is the no makeup, one light bulb look. Just do I look like I'm in jail? Is it okay? I might have to keep playing with the lighting. All right, you tell me. I'm not fishing for compliments. I genuinely need help. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like my boyfriend's favorite meme with the dog typing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm watching videos on how to set up a home podcasting studio. I have no idea. Ooh, I got closer to the video and I looked worse. Oh well, should be way back here. But then again, if I really cared, I'd get made up and get dressed up. Instead, I'm wearing a crappy white Hanes V-neck t-shirt. Hands up, who loves crappy white Hanes V-neck t-shirts? Perfect, perfect uniform for working from home. I mean, why wear anything better? I wear these things until they fall apart. They're awesome. Hanes or competing brand, fruit of the loom, if you will. Any last questions or any comments people want to make before we wrap up for the day? I know I'm getting sleepy here, but I've got to stay up for another call that I'm very excited about. I will get that second wind. As I wait for any last questions, let me just remind people that tomorrow is the UX Tipping Point of Pal Mickey podcast. I hope you'll join me live for that. 6 o'clock Italy time, 6 p.m. that is. Check your time zones for where that is for you. I will be live. I've got a bunch of slides. I'm going to tell you a long story, and then I'll be taking questions and comments on Pal Mickey, which is an amazing invention by Disney that very few people know about. Monday, we'll be talking with Michelle Ronson on UX research resumes, portfolios, and interviewing. Wednesday the 15th, I'll be doing a podcast on UX and Agile. I've got a million slides on that. We'll be walking through some of those. And I won't bother telling you about the week after because that one is still tentative and I don't want to say anything in case that person has to change the date. Oh, Plexus says, bye, have a nice nap. No, I'm going to stay awake until after my next call and then I shall officially fall apart. Bye, Plexus. Be well, be safe, be healthy, everybody. Any other last comments or questions before we wrap up? And hopefully tomorrow I will also put up some quarantine karaoke. So I've been putting those up on Twitter because I didn't want YouTube to take them down, but I don't think they do that anymore. I think they just throw ads on it and then they pay the original artist. But I might try it and find out. I don't want to be branded a copyright infringer, but I don't know how to pay for singing karaoke on YouTube. Let's learn together. I guess we will wrap up. Thanks to everybody who joined today. Good to meet some of you. Some of you I don't know. Some of you we are chatting for the first time. So thanks for joining and please send me a message if you have any other questions. You can always ask questions here and I will answer them in the next office hours. Office hours is every Tuesday at 6:15 p.m. Italy time. Adjust that for wherever you live. We just had daylight savings, so everything should be back to normal clocks. And I hope to see you guys soon. Again, everybody, please stay safe, stay home. Don't. Somebody the other day said, "Oh, I'm really enjoying going for bike rides," and I was like, "Which part of lockdown, stay home, quarantine are you not getting with your bike rides?" I mean, I understand you might feel like you can stay away from people on your bike ride, but I don't know. I think we just have to all be cautious and overly cautious. We can't afford to get this one wrong. If you get this one wrong, what are you going to say later? You know, part of great UX is possible outcomes. There's a lot of bad possible outcomes here. We have to be thinking about those, and then we have to take care of ourselves and those around us. So, not to preach too much, but please stay safe, stay home, and do the right things. I'm not going to tell you to wash your hands. You know you're supposed to wash your hands. Yes, I do touch my face all the time, but I washed my hands just before I did the podcast, and I'm allowed to touch my own face. I didn't touch anything in between. Everyone relax. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to get us out of here, and I will see you guys soon. So thanks again. Thanks for joining. Be well, and see you again soon in another Delta CX podcast.
Thanks for watching. Delta CX is available for consulting and projects related to CX and UX strategy, leadership, training, problem finding, problem solving, and innovation. Learn more at deltacx.com.